In the small, forgotten town of Graybrook, nestled deep within a dense forest, there was an old, abandoned house that locals avoided at all costs. It was said that those who ventured too close would hear whispers in the dead of night, whispering secrets no one should know. One autumn evening, a curious young woman named Emily decided to explore the house despite the warnings. She was a skeptic, unwilling to believe in ghost stories or legends. Armed with a flashlight and a camera, she made her way through the overgrown yard and pushed open the creaking front door. The inside of the house was just as one would expect, dusty, cobweb-covered, and frozen in time. Emily began her exploration on the ground floor, taking pictures and noting the eerie silence that seemed to follow her every move. As the sun began to set, she decided to head upstairs, where the shadows grew longer and the air colder. The staircase groaned under her weight as she ascended, each step echoing through the still house. At the top, she found herself in a long, narrow hallway lined with closed doors. She hesitated but then chose the first door on her right. With a deep breath, she turned the knob and stepped inside. The room was filled with old furniture draped in white sheets, and a large, ornate mirror stood in one corner. Emily set her camera on a nearby table and started taking photos of the room. As she did, she couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. The hairs on her neck prickled, and she glanced nervously around the room. Suddenly, the temperature dropped sharply, and her breath came out in visible puffs. The mirror, once still, began to fog up as though someone had just breathed on it. Emily's heart raced, and she turned to look at the mirror. The condensation on the glass slowly formed words, "Leave now." Emily's flashlight flickered and went out. In the darkness, she fumbled to turn it back on, but the light refused to come back. Panic set in as the room was engulfed in shadows. She heard soft, indistinguishable whispers that seemed to come from all directions. They grew louder and more urgent, their words growing clearer, "Leave before it's too late." She stumbled towards the door, but as she reached for the handle, it wouldn't budge. The whispers turned into a cacophony of voices, each one pleading, demanding, and warning. The mirror's fogged-up surface began to show a distorted reflection of Emily, with shadowy figures crowding around her. Desperate, she slammed her shoulder against the door. It finally gave way, and she bolted down the hallway, her footsteps echoing wildly. As she descended the stairs, the whispers followed her, growing louder with each step. She felt icy fingers graze her skin, and she could hear the breath of unseen entities behind her. Emily burst out of the house and ran into the night, not stopping until she reached her car. She glanced back, expecting to see something, but the house was still and silent, as if nothing had happened. She never returned to Graybrook, but she often had nightmares about that night. Each dream was the same: the house, the whispers, and the mirror with the message written in fog. Sometimes, when she was alone, she would hear soft, pleading voices, and her flashlight would flicker, reminding her of the whispers that once tried to pull her back. And every so often, she would catch a glimpse of herself in a mirror and shudder, remembering the words that still seemed to echo in her mind, "Leave now."